A booming economy, millions lifted out of poverty. This Johnny Walker ad summed up national and international sentiment around 2010 pretty well. The giant is no longer asleep. Long the country of the future, Brazil had finally arrived. It won the bid to host the 2014 World Cup and the Olympic Games in 2016. But it turns out that was just half the story. More than 1 million people have taken to the streets over the last 2 weeks in the largest demonstrations in decades. What started as a protest over a 9-cent hike in bus fares exploded, fueled by a harsh police crackdown. Brazilians vented their anger at what they called political corruption and decrepit public services. Protesters turned to social media to urge a boycott of the World Cup.
A country where 13 million of people are underfed every day and where many, many other people die waiting for medical treatment. Does that country need more stadiums?
Most people demonstrated peacefully, but some elements broke into looting and vandalism. Police used tear gas and rubber bullets. After initial silence, President Dilma Rousseff tried to convince protesters she was listening. The streets are telling us that the country wants quality public services, she says. They want more efficient mechanisms to fight corruption and to ensure the good use of public funds. The president proposed more than $20 billion in investments in urban transport, vowed to use oil revenues for education, and to import foreign doctors. She also called for a national referendum to implement the most ambitious political reforms in decades and to combat corruption. In this football-mad nation, even idols like Pelé came under fire after he criticized protests in a message sent to Globo TV. Let's forget about all this confusion in Brazil, all these protests, he says, and let's think that the Brazil team is our country, our blood, and support them. Brazil's love affair with football hasn't disappeared, but it's no longer enough to appease the crowds.
Brazil is undoubtedly better off than it was 20 or even 10 years ago, but expectations are also higher. In fact, people are preparing to head back out on the streets to protest against corruption and, yes, stadiums, even where Brazil is playing. Shasta Darlington, CNN, Sao Paulo.